Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Queen's Club for the second semi-final of this year's British Amateur. You already know our first semi-finalist. That was decided in last night's match between Robert Shankman and Jamie Giddins in what was a very clinical showing by Robert Shankman, winning in straight sets, 6-love, 6-2, 6-2. So tonight we will find out who will join him in that final this Sunday. A quick reminder that before we get to that final on Well, folks, apologies for the interruption. We are back live at Queen's Club. Just having some issues with the internet. Yes, just having some troubles with the connection at Queen's Club. We are back online now. And where you just left us was just as I was about to introduce the players. So going through a brief introduction to them now, and we'll bring up their profiles and career statistics shortly as well. We are watching the match between Jamie Douglas, who currently plays from MCC, and Rory Giddins from the Queen's Club. Jamie is the second seed in this tournament, and Rory is the fifth seed. Because of the interruption to the internet here, we also won't be able to bring you the statistics of the match in the usual way. And any statistics that do appear in the scoreboard will likely be incorrect. So apologies for that particular disruption to the service. So just going through the player introductions here. Our number 5 seed for this tournament is Rory Giddins, at 25 years of age, playing from the Queen's Club, as I said before, handicap 9.9, that just dropping below 10 for the first time in a couple of years, given his match in the quarter final here. Hazard chase now, better than half a yard. And again, ignore that statistic up in the corner there. That is not correct. We have a 5-love lead quickly developing here for Jamie Douglas. In his first round match in the quarterfinals, Rory Giddins came through Philip Dunn quite comfortably 6-2, 6-1, 6-1, but he already looks like this particular match is going to be just that little bit harder. Rory Giddins is making strides through his amateur career, making the semi-finals of the Under-21-24s Open back before the COVID pandemic in 2019. And his previous best performance at this tournament was reaching the quarterfinal stage last year. So this is already an improvement for him, reaching the semi-finals. But again, based on how this match is going so far, one might suggest that that's all he's going to achieve this year. Chase a yard, and we are at the set point. Jamie lets that one go comfortably. And we have a first set to Jamie. 6 games to love. Beginning the second set now. So having a quick look at the winner of that first set, Jamie Douglas, age 36, currently maintaining that better than scratch handicap, which he has worked a long time for, has been around the amateur scene for quite a long time, has made especially that MCC Gold Racket Championship his own, played at Lord's every year, and has won this particular competition on 5 occasions and is looking to add a 6th to that tally. So hazard better than a yard here. That will do enough to win the hazard chase. Not much that Rory could do about that. Just going to ask for that ball to be moved. And Rory should not try 10-pin bowling. And from the tennis we have seen so far, Rory is really struggling to find any sort of rhythm against Jamie Douglas. Douglas has been at this level for so long. He's such a good competitor and will not give Rory an inch this match. Already Douglas building up that 2-love lead. Again, Douglas still looks like he's playing on easy mode. I think in that point we saw, of the 2 points that Douglas played, they're the 2 classic Douglas shots, that harder hit force and that severe cut backhand. 2 shots we've seen him play many, many times over the years in all these amateur events. Again, ignore those statistics on the top of your screen. They will not be correct due to the internet connectivity issues that we had earlier this evening. So one last look at these introductory graphics, which we didn't get to due to the connection issues, is the head-to-head between these two. They have played on one previous occasion, and that was just under 2 years ago here at the Queen's Club for the Queen's Club Championship. And Jamie Douglas winning that match 6-2, 6-3. Already he's looking even more comfortable than that. We saw last night in the match between Rory's brother Jamie and Rob Shankman. In that match, Jamie Giddins also struggled, especially through the first set, but even through the second and third. And in that match, it didn't look like Jamie was doing much wrong. Just that Rob Shankman was playing exceptionally high above his level. I think what we've seen so far from this match is perhaps a little bit closer to what we were expecting. Yes, Jamie is being very dominant this match, but I think that the difference in standard between him and Rory at this time is what's reflecting the scoreline, not just that Giddins is playing above his level. Sorry, rather Douglas playing above his level. I think most of the shots that we're seeing from Douglas tonight are fairly standard Douglas shots. Being able to bring that power and a heavy cut in a game in a style that's not incredibly dissimilar. Not incredibly dissimilar to Chris Chapman, minus a bit of boasting. It will be a good learning opportunity for Rory going up against someone of the caliber of Jamie Douglas. But I somewhat suspect that Rory's interests at present lie a little bit more at the southern end of the building on the rackets courts. I think that's probably where he feels he's got a bit more of a chance to develop his game and push towards the top of the rankings of that particular sport as compared to real tennis. It's just that somebody of his particular standard, why would he turn down an opportunity to play in an event like the British Amateur, especially given that with all of the matches in the evenings and on the weekends, he doesn't have to take any time off work. He just gets to come out and play against some high quality opposition. So a chance here for Rory to get on the board for the first time with the advantage in the game and a hazard chase. It'll be interesting to see how both players approach this hazard chase. So not that long ago, Douglas beating the hazard by smacking it off the very high back service wall. Can Giddins conjure up here? goes a similar shot, but I think just the comparison between the two, when Douglas played that shot, the ball was in the net before Rory could even move forwards. Rory playing that shot just can't quite get the same pace on it. And Douglas being able to chase it down much more easily. Rory will be, no matter how this match goes, in a final of his own. He is through to the doubles final, the only one of our singles semi-finalists who will be playing in that doubles final. That match will be played tomorrow. He and his doubles partner, Will Flynn, beat Nick James and Richard Elmett in the semi-finals. Chase the door. Worse than two chase here. Doesn't like the bounce of that particular ball. Balls have been very bouncy this week here at Queen's. And that is Rory Giddins on the board for the first time in this match. But he has a very long way to go if he is at all going to recover his way into this set, let alone this match. Jamie Douglas did not enter the doubles draw this year. He usually plays doubles in the amateur and in the open with Peter Wright. But Peter Wright, I believe, is currently out injured. So no doubles draw for Douglas. Then the other two single semi-finalists were Rob Shankman and Jamie Giddins. They played doubles together and they lost their doubles semi-final match to Medlow and Truman. So more than a yard worse than last gallery now. Douglas is bringing so much power to the ball at the moment. Of all the players who've made it through to the semi-final stage of this year's British Amateur, He definitely is the hardest hitter of the lot. I believe when he was in Cambridge, he was at Cambridge at the same time as David Woodman, who is renowned for being able to hit a force from anywhere on the court. So I wonder if that has carried through just a little bit into Douglas's game. Giddins really isn't putting Douglas under any pressure at all at the moment. Every shot's just a little bit too easy for him. Just able to work his way through the rally until he gets that ball he can put away. It's not necessary that Douglas is playing amazing strokes every ball. It's just Giddins is not able to find that reliable way of pressuring Douglas into playing difficult shots at the moment. In the match we saw in the semi-final yesterday, Jamie Giddins was pressuring Schenkman, and Schenkman was able to respond in a very, very aggressive way. So as we look in all likelihood towards a Schenkman-Douglas final, Chase is worse than 2, probably going out to better than 3 or so. Hence the incredulation there by Rory Giddins. Yeah, as we go through to a Giddins-Douglas final, will be interesting to see just how those two styles match up. I think it's difficult to say either way how that particular matchup would go. Seeing as we haven't really seen Douglas under pressure that much so far in this match. He's just found it that little bit too easy all the way through. And again, ignore those statistics coming up there, not correct. That's due to the connectivity issues we had earlier in the evening. Last time we saw a Schenkman-Douglas matchup, I believe, was in the MCC Gold Racket final last year, in a match that went the full 5 sets to Jamie Douglas. Of course, played at Jamie's home fortress at MCC. Some excellent forcing by Douglas here. Just finding that main wall so difficult for Rory to play against that. He doesn't really have that defensive volley in his arsenal. I think what we can see sometimes from Rory Giddins, when he is losing in a match, it can all unravel very quickly. He has a tendency to sometimes give up in a match. Especially when he can see the writing on the wall, even with a set and a bit to go for Douglas. So that was a hazard chase. Hazard better than a yard. It felt worse than a yard having come off the net cord. The extra pace that Douglas is getting on the ball at the moment is just making those timbre shots so much harder to return, especially running around the back of the court to return that timbre, which is what Giddins tends to prefer, rather than taking it on the volley if at all he can. It's just that a bit harder with a bit more pace on it. So a second game now from Rory. I think as we've seen a couple of times this week when that first set has been so dominant, very easy just to take the foot off that accelerator pedal. Doesn't need to be quite so aggressive. Not feeling any scoreboard pressure. Yes, that shot there on the timbre. Douglas getting so much pace on it. It just means that as the ball spins and grips off it, it will spin that little bit more. Just change the angle it comes out. So Douglas just saying that's his foot. So, bit of discussion there. Our marker, Jed Parsons, not really in a position to see that. So what's happened there is that Jamie had called that a stroke on his foot, but then said he wasn't really sure. So Parsons had called the point 1540, and then I'm not sure if it was a protest from Rory, but just a bit of a questioning. Doug was saying, I'm not sure, I'll go with whatever you as the marker said. Jed said, I would have called it down. They played the next point, and then halfway through the point, Parsons realised that it should have been 40 love and called time on the point, and we are now playing that chase of a yard. That ball just missing the timber. Douglas playing as though it was hitting. So now this point is a fairly important one in the context of the set. Douglas just floats. Yet another dead on. So if Rory had got that one, he would have brought it back to 3-4 and given himself that fighting chance in the set. As it stands now, it's 5-2. And this match is just falling away from Rory Giddins. And still, Jamie Douglas doesn't look like he is out of second gear. Douglas just has so much control in that boost. Being able to pick his spot, is he going for that main wall dead on, or in that case, running it across the front of Giddins and earning himself a chase. It's that backhand that he played when he was out of position near the grill. That's what reminds me a lot of Chris Chapman in the way he plays. Just be able to come down the back of the ball with so much cut, really from any position. That is absolutely destroyed by Jamie Douglas. That brings up the first set point of the second set. And a very short chase to defend. We have seen an absolutely perfect strength game from Jamie Douglas this evening. Really utilising that power in a way that Giddins just can't seem to cope with. I'm not sure he needed to hit that first ball. That would have been the set, but as it stands, he still has another set point here. That ball called down. I personally thought that he just got to that, but the chase better than 2. We are at set point. So short chase here, given how he's played, it wouldn't be too unexpected to see a force coming. The railroad was good, it prevented the force, but that cut shot was good enough. And Douglas takes the second set, 6-2. Rory doesn't know what he has to do to figure out this match. 2-set lead now to Jamie Douglas. Then, as soon as Douglas gets any room on that point, he's just depositing those main wall forces. His accuracy on those must be so high this evening. He's hardly missed one high. And that one just sneaks in as well. Giddins thought he got away with it from that first stroke. Missed the dead on low, but yes, another one goes in. We saw Giddins opting for a sidewall played from high up the court, falling short for the start of this game. And that particular serve, it was actually serving its purpose because it was coming short, was actually getting to the back wall. It was actually preventing Douglas from winding up that force, which I think looks to be the strongest part of his game at the moment. It's just when Giddins has been able to actually get into the rallies, still even then hasn't been able to do anything with it. We haven't really seen anything unorthodox or funky from Douglas's serving so far this match either. Mostly serving at that stiff arm sidewall. Not really known for having a huge repertoire of serves. Just very happy to either stick with that stiff armed sidewall or when he's playing under a bit more pressure will often resort to a bobble. Sure, he serves some railroads on hazard chases, but very happy just to get the ball in play. Just to get the ball in play, knowing that as the rally goes on, he will more than likely come out on top, especially seeing as Giddins hasn't really brought any weapons to the return of serve this match. Now, as we look all but certain to know the identities of our British amateur finalists, given the way this match is progressing. Wouldn't it be great to get some real tennis cards for Jamie Giddins? Sorry, Jamie Douglas. Too many Jamies for Jamie Douglas. We've seen real tennis cards come up with a set of statistics for Rob Schenkman already. He's already through to Sunday's final. Be interesting to see how real tennis cards compares that the head-to-head matchup with Jamie Douglas. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out Real Tennis Cards on Instagram, where they are compiling player profile cards and style statistics for all of the top players. And have been great at promoting the top events as they come through. I imagine we'll start to see some more of those RT cards come out as we approach the US Open next week. Still mostly business as usual here for Jamie Douglas. Under no scoreboard pressure whatsoever, just looking to get the job done and move on to Sunday's final. The hand of apology from Douglas to the marker for calling his own stroke and not respecting the marker's call or whatever it might be. The players start calling their own strokes and chases. It can somewhat subconsciously bias the marker in that particular direction. Seeing some high serving now from Douglas. Good to see a bit of variety really for the first time this match. Hasn't quite worked out, so we'll go back to that stiff arm sidewall. So you are watching live coverage of the British Amateur Singles Semi-Final 2024. As a reminder, there will be coverage of the doubles final tomorrow from 2:30 p.m. That's right here live at the Queen's Club in London. If you are in London tomorrow and you want to see some fantastic tennis, do come down. There is no admission charge. Then the prize that these players are fighting for is the singles final will be played on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Again, if you're in London, do come down and have a watch. It promises to be a fantastic match. Second gallery chase here now. He's up there defending those hazard galleries on this chase. Giddins just gets to be able to see it and put the ball away on that backhand side. But that backhand before, again, reminds me so much of Chris Chapman and the way that he plays his strokes. Nothing seems to be able to go right for Rory Giddins at this point in time. That ball just hitting the hazard second gallery post. Again, as the players are just going to collect the balls, it looks like it's just a difference in standard between where Rory Giddins is in his game at the moment and the standard that Jamie Douglas is playing at right now. Douglas has been at the top of the amateur game in the UK for so long now, and deservedly so. We've seen yet another excellent display by Douglas this evening. And kind of highlights the amount of work that Rory Giddins will have to do if he wants to compete at this level in the future. Spoken a lot over the past few months about the amount of young players who are pushing on the door of these more established senior players at both the open level, the amateur level, and amongst some of these up-and-coming professionals. I think in this particular match, we are seeing those seasoned players fighting back in the form of Jamie Douglas. Apologies if I keep getting the names confused. That's the first point we've seen in quite a long time where, in a consistent way, Giddins really has been on top of Douglas, especially from that receiving end. So much of this match has been Douglas pulling Giddins around on a string. Just like that, Douglas able to get a little bit more accuracy into that grill quarter on that point and eventually finding the winner. You can just see how this difference in standard manifests across the course of this match. Just how much more precise Douglas's shots have been. So Hazard better than second gallery chase now. That ball called a double fault. Giddins can't quite believe it. It's very, very close to that fault line on the service penthouse. But he accepts the marker's decision. Our marker tonight is, of course, the Jedi, Jed Parsons. Once again, luck not going in Giddins' favour tonight. Sometimes when you're behind so much, you feel every single ball that's not going for you, every single net cord or gallery, has a second gallery or whatever the case may be. It just fixates in your mind way more than it should. Whereas when you're winning comfortably like Douglas is at the moment, you can all just brush by without really even noticing it. So Hazard chase again here to start. So Hazard chase. Is fully aware of the score. And the return may well have been down, but it doesn't matter in the end as Douglas finds that winning gallery. So now the very short chase. I think that serve was some kind of giraffe, a bobble giraffe. It didn't have any spin on it. It was just thrown up there. Back to the more conventional stiff arm sidewall. We'll be asked to move that ball. That's just rolled over the second gallery line. It's a little bit too close. The receiver has the right to ask for balls to be moved. Any ball in play that hits a ball not in play, causes a chase at that point. So, and also causes a hazard to the player, both in terms of their feet and if it should cause a deflection. To be fair to Giddins, and this will help him going into tomorrow's doubles final, he has definitely improved as this match has gone on. Just been able to, in a few points here or there, just put a little bit of pressure on Giddins for once. It is too far between. And especially, we've mentioned it before, but especially that pace that Douglas gets onto the timbre, somewhere where Rory has really struggled compared to his usual opponents at his particular standard. Or just a couple of things, ball coming onto the racket a little bit faster and less time to adjust if you're scrambling around the back of that court. That's one game away for Jamie Douglas. The ball just floated into the grill. Didn't really intend for that to happen. A small debate on which gallery it went into. Resolved that it was the second gallery. Sometimes when the ball's going at that pace, it's difficult for the marker to tell which side of the post it went on. The gallery, the bits of net between the gallery posts and the main gallery netting isn't all that tight here at Queen's. So it's not all that clear which gallery it's ended up in based on where the ball finishes. Some galleries have those bits of netting strung just that little bit tighter. Some are very loose indeed. I won't name any particular courts that I'm thinking of where the gallery netting is particularly loose. Don't want to name and shame anybody. You probably know who you are. I think this may be the first time in this whole match that Giddins has been up 40-love in a game. But it may have just come a little too late. Giddins cannot believe it. He throws his head in anguish. Rory feels like everything is against him at the moment. But when you're playing someone who plays as consistently as Jamie Douglas does, then you feel like you're reaching for every single point. So gallery chase now for Douglas. Again, he still just needs that one more game to book that position into Sunday's final. So Giddins gets his second game of the set, his fourth of the match. And so as he looks to try and salvage something from this game, imagine that if he did make a comeback from here, it would be one of the most incredible comebacks in tennis history. Just feels like it's only a matter of time for Jamie Douglas. He's played that main wall force so well this evening. Really found that perfect spot to target on that main wall. And that is the first match point to Jamie Douglas. And that is the match. An easy ride in the end for Douglas. He takes the match 6-love, 6-2, 6-2. An excellent display of forcing, especially off that main wall. Those very, very deep cut shots as well. And it promises to be a great matchup in Sunday's final, where we will see that main wall force come out against Shankman's impeccable dead-on defense. So do join us on Sunday for that final. It's currently scheduled to start at 2:30 p.m. All the live coverage will be brought to you here on the T&RA media channel. And we will also have coverage of the doubles final tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. Again, if you are in the London area and you want to watch some fantastic tennis, do come down for both of those matches. There is no admission charge here at the Queen's Club. So from all of us at Queen's Club, and again, we apologize for the disruption to our internet connection in the first set. But from all of us here at Queen's Club, it has been a pleasure bringing this match to you tonight. And we look forward to having you join us on the weekend. Good night.